Hey everybody, welcome back to the Metroid Other M commentary.
I'm Samus, Samus the Bounty Hunter.
So you know those Silva Gunner rips on YouTube where they just play the opening part of the song, like for Delfino Plaza, it's like dung digga 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 dung, and it just keeps on going for 10 minutes. That's this song right here because they never go into the melody for Samus's theme, and it drives me freaking insane. Oh god, I hate it. I hate it.
You know, what makes that more painful is that this game has so few catchy tunes as it is, that, you know, just teasing us with the absence of one is, it's kind of rubbing salt in the wound, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of the only one it has is Ridley's theme.
Yeah, and that's really the only recognizable remix in the game. So,
And you know, I get that they were going for the whole atmospheric thing, but Metroid Prime managed to be atmospheric and catchy, so what happened here?
I would even argue the old games as well, like Super Metro. Oh wow, is that slowdown or is the game just?
That's slowdown.
Okay.
To be completely frank, I've never been able to see Super Nintendo music or Game Boy Advance music as atmospheric because the sound of the sound card is so distracting to me.
This is less so with Fusion and well, I think Zero Mission has some good remixes, but Super Metroid has, I think, like particularly Brinstar Red Soil. I think that's an amazing atmospheric piece that also has a really good melody. And oh my god, I can't blame you for running away from that room, because that room, I remember that room. That room's probably the most annoying part of the game.
I can't even do the sequence yet. Anyway,
Yeah, you have to get ice missiles and freeze
This is another sequence where you have to go to one place you can't fully explore yet, and then backtrack to an area you couldn't fully explore yet to get a cutscene to trigger to have the plot finally.
To have Adam, you see, Adam won't authorize you to use ice missiles if that's
Until
the
he
only way
realizes
forward.
you've been running in
He'll-
circles for like 15 minutes.
Samus, why don't you use ice missiles to
You know,
to get
it's like
forward?
if Adam, if Samus were a lab rat, and the cheese was right in the middle, but Samus was too stubborn to grab the fucking cheese, and Adam finally had. He's like, grab the fucking cheese, Samus. Okay, fine. Here, you got your jet boots. You put them on and grab the fucking cheese. You're driving me nuts.
Shine Spark.
Oh.
Can you ram into enemies with that? I do not really remember.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can.
All right.
I don't know. The odds of that happening are slim to none.
Now, I always knew that there was going to be some sort of problem implementing the Shine Spark into 3D for exploration, but I feel like it could be handled better than this if we could just look around and see what's above us. As it is, the only use for it is in extremely telegraphed locations where you're definitely supposed to Shine Spark upward.
Well, that would be something where actually the first-person mode might.
Well, yeah, the first-person mode might be useful if using it wasn't so goddamn awkward that you never wanted to.
This is, you see.
The ninja run in Metal Gear Rising, I thought, was a good speed booster implementation.
Yeah, that was a good that was a good way of doing things. Just kind of like an Assassin's Creed style free run button, where you would automatically hop over and jump small obstacles. It's exhilarating without being completely brain dead, which which is a good balance, I feel.
You got a thing.
Yeah, but this is a sequence. We can't shoot the target here because it's
This
blocked by glass.
sequence pisses me the fuck off.
You can't break glass with missiles. Nope. That's not how it works.
There's nothing stopping Samus from just calling up Adam and, you know, not...
Man, he got lucky there.
Like, couldn't Adam could theoretically just open that door, because he's in the control room, isn't he?
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean he can access all systems without all the passwords and stuff. But,
Yep.
no, you see, we have to go back to where we started, get locked in a room full of windows, and this is when Adam finally authorizes the goddamn wave beam. And, I could understand the wave beam not being authorized from the get-go because, not knowing whether or not there's survivors floating around, a beam that shoots through walls might cause some collateral damage,
Yeah,
but
it's one of those things that after 2 hours, like, okay, there's nobody left in here. Just turn
yeah,
your stuff
not
back
even
on.
that. It took Samus getting trapped in a room in a place where she couldn't get past it without the wave beam for Adam to say, okay, you can use the goddamn wave beam. Not the button.
Have some damn agency, Samus.
Not the button she had to shoot through a similar wall, no.
You
Which
see,
is needed for progression.
And I mean, what's to stop him from saying, I'm authorizing you to use the wave beam this one time, and then you have to turn it off again?
that would make so much more sense if Saddam. Oh my god, I called him Saddam. If Samus and Adam.
Fusion, ha! It
If-
is me, Saddam.
If Samus and Adam were just talking throughout this entire thing, it would have made more sense. Yo, Adam, can I use the space jump to grab that energy tank? Yo, Adam, I think there's something over there. Can I use the power bomb to break that bomb? You can ask, Samus. It's not that hard. Okay? Also, you should be able to break that glass with the missiles still, but, whatever.
And did you skip past an avalanche on your way
No,
down?
it's right here.
Here it is.
I could have sworn that was before you hit the button. Huh.
Oops.
Adam on the intercom. Hey, hey, hey.
Shouldn't that just be holographic snow, though? Like, would it really hurt you?
Shut up, Ted. Just
Okay.
shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Oh, you see, the bottle ship at the very least is handicap accessible. They've got ramps and stairs. Although I question why they made ramps and stairs if they only needed a ramp. But okay, I hate this room so much. I cannot tell you how many times I fell and had to go through the entire room all over again because of this stupid.
It's goddamn Devil May Cry platforming, and I hate Devil May Cry platforming.
Once you hit the ramp, it kind of locks your controls until you hit a flat object. Another problem is
And then
that,
you hop.
yeah,
what's
then
with
you
that
can't
annoying
really spin.
hop?
I don't. It means that you fucked up and you're not doing anything until you hit a solid plane. Another thing is that for some goddamn reason, I don't think Samus can grab these ledges.
Yeah, you have to freeze them. You have to freeze them too, which took me forever. Like, you think that you could? It's one of those things where you can just barely jump off if you have enough time. No, you can't do that. You have to freeze it in order to keep on going. This is probably my least favorite part of the entire game right here.
And again, for some reason, Samus can't grab these ledges. I don't know why.
What is it with the worst part of every 3D Metroid being a goddamn platforming sequence?
You see, John's really lucky there that the game decided to let him stay on that ledge, because if this were
Ted?
me, I would have fallen all the way to the bottom.
Get ready to put your foot inside your mouth.
What?
Oh.
Uh-oh. Wait.
Fucking jump, Samus.
So now with the speed booster in tow, there's going to be a lot of times where we get spiraling pathways, and I hate red doors. But there's going to be a lot of times where the level design will start introducing spiraling pathways, and the best word of advice I can give to you is that though it looks like you have three-dimensional movement, all you got to do is hold up and Samus automatically turns for you.
Oh, it's one of those things, like,
Yeah.
where, up just means forward, but selectively here.
And that's the only way you're going to be able to build speed booster up, because the instant you decide to veer left or right, it cancels the speed boost momentum.
I mean,
So,
Yeah.
don't do
considering, okay, I'm kind of conflicted about that. On one hand, considering that this game is played on a D-pad, it kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, this game should have had a control stick option anyway, so let me turn, please.
It's not just that. This kind of fixed, occasionally moving camera angle perspective is the same kind of system that the Metal Gear Solid games use, and in those games, your control was technically oriented to where you were in the level 2. So,
Elevator
even if you
sequence.
even if you had analog control in those games, the up orientation was always was always basically north. So, it's odd, but it's something that you get used to without really thinking about it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where there really was no reason why they couldn't have had a nunchuck option, and just being able to move
I'm just
in
saying that
360 degrees would have made this just feel better.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the control orientation with regards to the camera wasn't necessarily a decision that would have changed if they had analog.
Like, one thing is, I guess one thing that I would have liked is, you know, if you're, even with an analog control, if you, like, suddenly turn right or turn left really, really sharply, you probably should have still lost your speed booster, but there are plenty of games with similar sort of things where you will still keep on building speed even if you slightly turn right or slightly turn left, and being able to build up your speed booster while doing that would have made it feel a little bit more fluid, and that's just another instance where you can't do that with a D-pad. And so having the option would have been nice, because again, there is half of my control issues with this game would have helped so much just by having the nunchuck there, because again, the first person stuff wouldn't feel so awkward if I didn't have to physically move the Wiimote out of my left hand and then hold it in my right to point it at the screen. And if there were those 2 extra buttons on the nunchuck that I could use to say do the concentration instead of having to flip it sideways and things like that.
And it goes a little beyond that in the sense that, you know, it's awkward and that makes it unreliable to use during gameplay, but there's also the problem of it's awkward and that makes it unfun, so you don't want to do it, so you don't think of doing it when you want to look around.
I still, to this day, don't understand the mentality, because like I said before, I think it's the first part, that it was decided to use the D-pad only so that it could be attractive to more modern gamers for the simplified control scheme. The thing is that analog sticks have been a thing since 1996. Secondly,
so you mean
high profile Nintendo games up until Other M, till Other M's release, still used analog sticks. Zelda still used an analog stick. Mario, which is objectively simpler than Metroid, uses an analog stick.
There's the only other game I can think of, like Kirby uses a D-pad and Donkey Kong Country uses a D-pad, but those are 2D games, and people still complained about Donkey Kong Country using the Wiimote on its side because there were only 2 buttons and you had to shake to use the roll, which was really, really annoying in that game too. So, and also, Metroid isn't exactly I don't like the term casual, but it's not the kind of game that your grandma's probably gonna play, I guess. And for whom, if a person's gonna play Metroid, the idea of plugging in the nunchuck isn't going to scare them away, I think is an important point.
Although, if your grandma does play Metroid, I want to picture that because that's adorable.
But before you even consider the claim itself, I'm somewhat confused by the logic there, because the other side of that coin is that we're mimicking an old school Nintendo controller. So which is it? Are you catering to modern gamers with a simplified control scheme, or are you catering to older gamers with a retro control scheme?
And even then, I think most retro Metroid fans would rather you emulate Super or Fusion, or instead of Metroid 1 and 2, which control like ass.
Just the other thing is that ultimately, you know, the average age for gamers is like in their 20s now. Most people interested in playing games have grown up with it. The controller is not going to dissuade them unless it's like some really funky out there thing.
Also, like, that's not even to dissuade kids. Like, there are still kids who play games, and kids aren't stupid. They know how to use a controller.
No, that's what I'm getting at. We're at the point where gaming is pretty common knowledge, so kids pick it up faster compared to, I mean, just look at our generation picking up technology versus our parents, even if they grew up with certain technologies first.
Yeah, ask a 12-year-old to use a rotary phone, and they're a little screwed. But I get your point.
So ultimately, you know, kids just grow up with this more often than even our generation. So, again, controls aren't going to scare them.
Yeah, you know, I'm a natural at using a controller, but I still haven't managed to work up any sort of natural skill at using a touchscreen to type. So, but you know, younger people than me type faster on a touchscreen than I do with a keyboard.
Oh, it's real simple, Lois. You just simply hit the letter on the screen.
Well, yeah, I know. It's not that. It's that I can't type quickly without.
I'm running here.
I can't type quickly without the tactile feedback and muscle memory that a keyboard gives me. So I just wind up being really slow to type messages with a touchscreen. Of course, stubborn ass that I am, I also insist on writing grammatically correct sentences when I text on a phone. So,
Well, you're just doing God's work at that point.
Your
Absolutely.
skills with keyboard are super lame. Get good, Scroob.
Little detail I didn't know until this playthrough, actually. I didn't know that if you froze one of the Zeptites and let the other one roaming around can run into them accidentally. It's
What's a
little
Zeptite?
Goofy. I don't know. Don't remember. Look, there's one thing I'm never good at with Metroid games is remembering enemy names, unless you're a Zoomer, a space pirate, or I guess a gamer, I think it was called.
Or those weird jellyfish things. I can never
the
remember
weird
their
jellyfish
name.
things, yeah. Which I think, let me go look at the manual.
Oh, they're
look, it says weird
Samuses.
it says weird
Samuses.
jellyfish things, yeah.
okay, so I've already accepted that the virtual worlds in this battle ship have X-Men Danger Room mentality going on, but what's with the actual lava?
It's
Where did they get
holographic
it?
lava. You're fine.
Oh, where did they get actual lava from?
Well, this place has the bottle ship has the geothermal plant. I think a big part of the sector runs off magma for a source
That's
of
not
energy.
how geothermal power works.
That doesn't make sense because
Listen.
they would need pressure in order to. The ship would have to be so dense that the pressure could make the lava and then have the air escape, and then you could power stuff off of the air that comes out. But
Yeah,
that really
it's
wouldn't
not lava
work
and
because it
magma
would
that
take a
geothermal
lot of.
plants work with. I'm pretty sure it's volcanic pressure specifically.
Yeah,
not-
but then the space station would have to apply the pressure in order to make the lava, which would probably take more energy.
There's a far simpler solution to this, Ted. It's that this game is stupid.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna try and create a space station with its own self-sufficient energy sources, the realistic combination would probably be solar power plus hydropower.
And a little love.
Like
Okay,
this-
can I just say, you fight this guy way too many goddamn times.
Anthony?
No, not
Not remember,
Anthony.
not remember me, dude.
Like, he's the only likable character in this game, though. He's like the only person who's nice to you. So, yeah, I care a little bit if he dies.
How nice of the monster to want to pick up Anthony and
Wait,
toss him into lava instead
okay.
of just snapping him in two while he's got him in his grasp.
I have a question. How did the grapple point on the ceiling know that Samus's grapple beam was authorized?
Also, how did Samus know that was Anthony as opposed to the other 6 dudes that are on the ship? That could be Adam for all she knows.
The plasma gun.
The other
Oh,
thing that
okay.
gthat's me about the grapple points is that apparently their device is specifically built into the ceiling for grappling hooks because they seem to serve no other purpose here.
You see, that's the sort of thing that you let slide a little bit more when it's just like, oh, this is a random alien planet, as opposed to, this is a biological space station designed specifically for the research of space animals. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense for them to install grapple points in there.
And this space station has been specifically designed in case shit goes foobar when he's Samus to go bail us out.
Well, granted, if I was a Galactic Federation research station, I probably would put those in there, because it's at least a 40% chance that happens. So,
And you can't count the actual Galactic Federation on helping out because they're kind of worthless.
yeah, a little bit.
I regret nothing.
Did I win? I think I won.
Another one of those, why was this ever not authorized in the first place, being the grapple beam?
Ready to rip off some space pirate shields, John?
Thanks, princess.
I can't wait.
You called out here.
Yeah, in Metroid Prime 3, when we were working with the military, they didn't seem to have a problem with me using my grapple beam from the start. Just saying.
Figure I'd just take a look around. That's when I got jumped by those things you just saw.
I think I remember the grapple beam being one of the upgrades in Metroid Prime 3 that you had at the beginning.
You had grapple beam, morph ball, various suit, missiles. You had a
If
handful
I remember
of
correctly, in
things.
Metroid Prime 3, you started out with your normal suit and you had a handful of your upgrades from the previous games, and then you got your new shiny suit and got mostly new upgrades after that.
Yeah, it was one of those things, though. It's just like, okay, I've got my morph ball and bombs, but for some reason Samus left the power bombs at home and just didn't feel like picking them back up, though.
Well, did she get the power bombs in Metroid Prime 2?
She had them in Metroid Prime 1.
Well, yeah, but she lost all of her powers.
No, they're
in Metroid Prime 2 again.
in Prime 2.
Also
Oh, okay.
Prime 3. So why she drops all of her her energy tanks and missile tanks at the beginning of each mission.
The question of why she didn't keep the dark and light suits is up in the air as well.
Oh, no, because they don't need them. They're worthless. I mean, they look cool. I'll give you that. But let's face facts here. They're no varying gravity suit.
Hey, they stop you from taking dark energy damage or light energy damage. Or
I don't know.
something.
It just seems like a function you'd want to keep on hand.
The dark suit gives you fucking yo-yos on your shoulder pads. And metallic
Alert!
bombs.
Alert!
So Ian is like
No,
Samus.
not Ian.
They like referenced him earlier or something. What was he like? Adam's brother or whatever?
Yeah, he's Adam's brother.
Yeah, and Adam had to let him die for the good of the mission or whatever.
Adam, I can reach him. Give me
It's
some
either
help, please.
Lock and secure the shielding doors
let
now.
Ian die or risk the lives, I think, like 300 people.
Yeah.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Okay, so when we at the time of this recording, we have had a few parts go up, and there's a lot of hyperbole about Adam. I feel not that he's a good character in this; he's a terrible character in this. But like people are like, "Oh, he treats Samus like a battered spouse," and I'm like, "Wow, you guys are taking things pretty far." Like in this case, it's supposed to. I think that the scene is trying to show that he cares more about the mission and the good of the rest of his troops, even over his brother or whatever, which, if you were an actual military commander, that is something that you would have to do, you know? And
That's ultimately the decision you're supposed to make.
yeah, and even, like, in this case where Samus is like, oh, I can go and get Ian, and then Adam's probably thinking, no, you'll die too, and I'll just lose 2 people. So, again, Adam isn't presented well in this game, that's true, but there is ultimately, I think, there is... Like, I'm not trying to justify the writing at all, because the writing's terrible. And the presentation in the way that you have to really, really look between the lines with this game, which is, I think, again, I don't mind looking between the lines, but...
There are stories where that feels like something that's fun to do and that fleshes out an already good story, like, say, Undertale. And then there are stories where feeling like you have to do that to get anything comprehensible out of it at all weakens the story.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You shouldn't, for at least games like this, you know, basically action type stuff that the story isn't really that important. You shouldn't need to read between the lines in order to understand even the base plot or why the character's actions might make sense given the circumstances, you know. They should just, like, even just a line from Adam after that saying, I had to protect the rest of the crew, would have made that scene make him appear like much less of a jackass. You know, again, we said this earlier, but for a game that does a lot of telling and not showing, it really does not even do enough telling for you to understand what's going on, which is...
Yeah.
I can't believe that
And
you
then
can
when
actually
it gets
do that.
and then when it gets to the showing part, it kind of fumbles the ball.
Yeah, which the biggest example of that we aren't at yet. We'll get
We'll
there.
be getting to it soon.
Well, actually, hopefully not soon, because I got shit to do, and we're going to spend an hour after that part. So, yeah. Why don't we talk about something else instead?
I'm hoping, Johnny, put that towards the beginning of a part so we're not spending 40 minutes after the part ends still talking about it.
Oh, no, we probably still will. This is BrainScratch Combs. Oh, okay, Samus. Okay, I'm sorry about talking bad about Adam. You don't need to shoot me. All right? Jeez. You jerk.